Coming up on the Carter Cadence.
Talk to me about kind of the difficulties of last season, losing your quarterback with Carson Kimble.
Last year was the toughest year I've ever been a part of, but our community just showed how great it was in rallying around our kids, and Carson and his family, and he'll tell you they're forever grateful.
Welcome back into the Carter Cadence, now joined by Bremen head football coach Davis Russell. Coach, thank you for joining us on the show.
I appreciate you having me. Looking forward to talking a little ball.
Yeah, so I always kind of start off with coaches I've never had on the show before by kind of detailing their career paths to where they've kind of gotten to now. You know, you're getting ready to head into your 10th year as head coach at Bremen. I'm sure that's probably a little surreal for you to have been there for a decade now, but I know you had several stops along the way prior to coming to Bremen, including being at Northgate and LaGrange. And sitting here going into your 10th year, did you expect to be where you're at now? Did you expect to stay in the same place for a decade after taking your first head coaching position? And kind of tell me how you got to where you're at in your career.
Well, I played at Valdosta State. Was fortunate to play on 2 national championship teams, and wasn't sure if I was going to coach in college or in high school, and got an opportunity to coach at Tift County High School right out of college, coach a running back. So I cut my teeth in a region with Warner Robins and Northside and Valdosta and Lowndes and Colquitt and Coffee.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so jumped right in. After that, I was at Berrien County for a year before moving to LaGrange, where I offensive line and then eventually offensive coordinator. Ran the weight room, was a head track coach, did all of that. In 2015, Tommy Walburn at Northgate called me and offered me defensive coordinator job. And I said, well, coach, I've never coached defense. And he said 2 or 3 things. He said, 1, I think you're a good coach, and good coaches coach anything. He said, 2, your granddaddy was a pretty good defensive coach. And so there's got to be some of that in your lineage. And went and took the defensive coordinator job. We were really good, made the semifinals. And then Bremen called, and it all worked out the way it should. And I told my wife, who grew up in the same house her whole life, I said, when we find a good place, we're gonna stay put. And we found a great place, and my kids have grown up here. And 10 years, you're right, it's flown by. But I've enjoyed every second of it.
You know, you were, as we were just talking before we started recording, Bremen was in the same region with the high school that I'm affiliated with, Cahola Creek, a few years ago.
Right.
And I can remember playing down there back in 2023. And one of the things that I talked to about with my brother, who's the head coach, was just the unbelievable fan support, not just young, but old. I mean, I think you got the same guys that have been doing the chain gang for like multiple decades.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of crazy to see that type of support stretch throughout the entire age demographic of a community. Talk to me about the support that y'all have there at Bremen.
It's incredible. You know, to get a season ticket, it's kind of like Augusta National. You know, somebody you either have to get in some type of lottery or somebody's got to pass away. And
like Lambeau Field.
Yeah, and then most of the folks who have season tickets, they just pass right down to the next generation if somebody were to pass away. And it's unbelievable. Our town shuts down on Fridays. We have our rec department kids, they grow up, they're Bremen blue, Bremen white, Bremen gray, Bremen black. It's one of the few places left that it still means a lot to put that Bremen helmet on and that block B and be proud to play with folks you've grown up with your whole life and be a part of just a great community, not just the football program, but everything.
Yeah, so I think we saw that community support come out big time last year. Talk to me about kind of the difficulties of last season, losing your quarterback with Carson Kimble, and after that, you're still able to make the playoffs. The community rallies around not just Carson, but the team, and y'all overcome that and get back to the postseason for the 11th consecutive year. I was really impressed with how the team responded to everything because, obviously there's the emotion of how the injury went. But then you look at it from a football standpoint, it's like, well, we got to replace a senior quarterback now too and go try to win some football games.
No doubt. He was our leader. He was the hardest working kid in our program. And Carson will graduate tonight. Graduation will be a special event. We got some things planned with him for him. I actually get to go on the stage with him. I'm honored to be able to do that. Last year was the toughest year I've ever been a part of. But our community just showed how great it was in rallying around our kids, and Carson and his family, and he'll tell you they're forever grateful for that. He's doing good. He's working his butt off. But if you ever wonder if a place is home, if you're in the right place, if you're in the right community, in tough times is when you see the true colors of your place. And man, Bremen just wrapped their arms around our team, our coaches, the whole community in a really difficult time. And the thing that got us through the tough time was just being together, and that's the family that this place is.
So that did set you up with, I assume, a guy who's got some quarterback experience now coming back in 2025. So talk to me about the team you got coming back with the Blue Devils in 2025. It is the tough region, I'll say that. You got
No
a
doubt.
lot of teams that expect to make the playoffs. You had some teams that usually are playoff contenders that kind of fell victim to the attrition of the region last year. I think Pepperell missed it for the first time in over a decade last year. They're young. They'll be coming back hungry. And obviously, Heard County's got a lot of young guys. This is what do you have coming back, and what is your outlook kind of the region?
So we have a really good core of players coming back. Actually, we have four good groups in a row from our freshman class to our senior class. You talk about the quarterback. We'll hit on him first. Eli Brock. He'll be a junior. He's a football, basketball, baseball kid. Really, really talented. Kind of a carefree personality, which the moment never gets too big for him, which that's pretty cool. And he's got some good weapons around him. Justin Faulkner, who has been tremendous for us. Got two returning starting offensive linemen in Bryson Jenkins and Ridge Winkles, who are going to be good players. Landon Hanna, a junior running back, who's a really good player. Zay Buffington, a sophomore receiver. I could name a bunch of folks, and I'd leave folks out. And then we have a rising freshman running back, Tavares Tucker, who ran for 2,100 yards and averaged 21 yards a carry in the middle school this year, who is a really special player, and I can't wait to see his growth. On the other side, on defense, which is where I am, even though I have a shirt on that says block, we got shirts that say block and tackle. We hope to do those things well, but AJ Emerson was a lineman of the year in the region. He's a nose guard. He squatted 570 yesterday. He's a tremendous player. Chase Palmer and Ryder Haynes, both returning linebackers that are really good players. Thacker Dudley, a free safety. Jay Sean Jones is a senior corner who's going to be a college football player. Bo Dudley, returning starting corner. Cade Haynes is a returning starter at safety also. So we got a lot of returning pieces. Probably the most important out of all those that people take for granted, we have a Division I kicker. in Carter Allen. He's a kicker and a punter who can really, 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 really change a game. He punted the ball inside the 10 about 14 times last year, and talk about setting the table for us. So got a lot of good guys coming back. Got a lot of guys I didn't mention. And we're really excited about this crew. Unfortunately, like you said, our region has a lot of guys, a lot of people coming back. Also, Herd's reloading. Temple's going to be good again. Model's going to be better. Pepperell's going to be better. Harrelson's going to be better. Darlington's going to be better. We have our work cut out for us for sure. But it's fun, and it's like an old Highway 27 rivalry every week. We're and the atmospheres are great, and it's really fun to be a part of.
Did you like seeing, in a region like you have where you've got several playoff caliber teams in the region? Do you like the current setup of the power ranking deal where you're in a classification that allows for more than four teams to make the postseason?
I I do like the power rankings. I think there needs to be a little bit of tweak in the system, just minor things. It takes into account OOWP, which is opponents win percentage, and you hate to be judged on things and lose points or gain points based on things you can't control. But
Yeah.
other than that, I really don't have an issue with the power rankings, and I don't think the wrong state champion has won a state championship yet due to power rankings. So.
Yeah, I know that we had actually several regions in the Northwest Georgia area through, D1 single A up through triple A that were doing that. Those are the three regions that do the power rankings. We had a few regions that had more than four teams make the playoffs last year. And I would say that yours has got potential to do that this year with the amount of talent spread out across the region. Because as I mentioned, really tough Pepperell team last year only won two ball games. And, you've got a lot of other really good football teams. That's one of the most exciting regions for me to watch this year is to see how it all plays out with your guys. Coach, obviously, you mentioned him earlier, and I know you get asked about Coach Irk Russell, your grandfather. I want to maybe ask you, for those that aren't familiar, obviously he was an assistant at Georgia for many, many years, won a couple of national championships at Georgia Southern as a head coach in the 80s. So I know you've been asked about him a lot, but I want to maybe phrase it this way. As the guy who is now becoming a veteran in your own right as a high school head football coach, what are some things you learned as a kid from his coaching days that you can still apply today?
Well, first, my granddad was a definition of a relationship-based coach. His players, if you ever meet one of his players, they just beam about him, and they'll tell you stories and they'll tell you about the jokes he told, and they'll tell you about the practices, but they'll tell you that he was really, really good to them, and he was always there for them, and I think one of the reasons that my granddad's players played so hard for him is because of how much he loved he loved them and cared for them, and so I try to be a relationship based coach first and foremost, and then I my granddad would probably hate the current state of college football now, and everything that goes on. And I've learned, if he was still alive, he would probably be coaching at a place like Bremen High School. Just a place where you can coach your guys and love them and coach them hard, and uh, be in a place that supports you like this. So he's definitely my hero in coaching. My dad was a coach for a long time. My uncle was too, and it was really fun to grow up in a coaching family and sit around at Thanksgiving or Christmas and listen to those stories. And my son is 9, and his name is Irk Russell, so he's he's got big shoes to fill with that name. Of course, nobody knows why in the world his name is Irk at his age, but that's pretty cool. So now I'm very proud of my lineage, and I don't run from it. I use all the phrases. Our defensive slogan is GATA, and that's just the style in which we want to play ball. Our our theme is big team, little me. Nobody's bigger than the team. And then our one rule on our football team is to do right. And those are the things that my granddad took year after year after year. And a great coach is a great thief. And I'm just lucky enough to get to copy my granddad. So.
Yeah, I can remember when I first followed you on Twitter. I saw the Twitter handle that had Gada in it, and I was like, "Oh, that's a Georgia Southern thing." I even remember having that hung up in our locker room in Northwest Whitfield when I was in high school.
Yeah.
And I grew up near Chattanooga. I watched Southern come up and win multiple national championships when they used to play at Finley Stadium
Right.
in the '90s and 2000s, and then I started doing a little research. I was like, oh, that's a Georgia Southern thing. I was like, oh, his grandfather was the head football coach at Georgia Southern. So,
That's right.
and obviously, I don't know. I'm sure. Does the Mike Hodges camp still exist?
There's a camp called Battle at the Beach that they're doing now, and I think they're moving it this year. But that's kind of the closest thing to the Hodges camp. It's kind of a reenactment of that. So there are people still definitely trying to keep that legacy alive.
Because I remember that too, and he obviously was an assistant at Southern. So that Gata mentality and phrase has been adopted all over the state of Georgia. And did that originate with your grandfather?
Yeah, so actually 1965, I believe, and if my dad sees this, he'll tell me if I'm wrong or not. They were playing Georgia Tech. Georgia was playing Georgia Tech in the classroom where they dressed all over the classroom at GTAA, Georgia Tech Athletic Association. And Irk came in either right before the game or at halftime and rearranged the letters and said, "Get after
Yeah,
their anatomy." And 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 it started there, and it just caught on. And of course, he carried it with him to Georgia Southern, and here we are. The only thing that we regret as Russells is not patenting that thing. I wouldn't be doing this interview. I'd be living on Gata Island somewhere, I guess. But no, it's been a great phrase, and it's just a rally cry for the intensity and what you want your players to play.
yeah, that's cool to hear. I never knew the origin of it, so that's really neat to hear. I'll finish up by asking you this, Coach. You talked about winning a couple of national championships at Valdosta State. Where did you play high school ball at?
Actually, I went to Gordon Central in the ninth grade. My dad was the head coach over there for a year, and then I went to high school in Jacksonville, Florida, at Mandarin High School for 3 years, and then got right back to Georgia to Valdosta State after that.
Gotcha. Okay. So, I mean, I imagine your favorite playing memories are probably winning a couple of national championships.
Oh yeah.
I know that they were just an absolute dynasty in Division two football, playing in the Gulf South Conference in the 2000s. Tell me what those days were like and kind of what sticks out to you still here, 15, 20 years later.
Well, honestly, everybody says, "What would you do to to play one more play?" And I'm like, "Man, I wouldn't play any more plays because the last play of my career, I snapped the ball to my quarterback. I played center. He took a knee, and we won the national championship. So I ended my football playing career in victory formation, and it don't get any better than that. But I would give anything to go back and hang out with my teammates and the bonds that we've developed. We've all been in each other's weddings. My offensive coordinator, Drew Willis, played with me down there, and we've been best friends for forever. So the as a coach, I try to make sure that our kids understand, like, yeah, the football's great. You're gonna get after it. You're gonna have battles, but those times in the locker room, those times in the summer when it's tough, those off-season workouts, all that stuff, you're gonna develop bonds and relationships that'll last a lifetime. And mine came at Valdosta State with my group of teammates, and luckily we had a whole lot of success in the process.
Yeah, I've not met many guys who played football at the high school and then further on to the collegiate level who didn't have many of those guys wind up in their weddings. That's funny how that happens.
That's right.
I had a couple of high school teammates in my wedding. I know Coach Carter. I think his entire outside of me and his future brother-in-law, every member was a college teammate in his
No
wedding. So
doubt.
that those were the bonds you take with you. So for
That's right.
sure. Coach Davis Russell from Bremen High School. Coach, thank you so much for your time. Good luck the rest of the off season here is inching ever so closer to football season. So thank you for joining us on the show.
No doubt. I appreciate you having me, and you're right. It'll be here before we know it, and I appreciate what you guys do too. It's really cool, all the attention that you bring to our athletes in this area. It gives them something to look forward to when they get on social media and all the platforms. And as coaches in this area, on behalf of a lot of the coaches I've talked to, we really appreciate you guys and all you do.
Absolutely, Coach. That's the goal here. That's the goal. We're not Metro Atlanta, so we got to find some attention for our athletes somewhere else. So that's the goal.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Coach.